Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's trip to Selhurst Park, Saturday, 3 p.m. You may notice some new branding on the channel. This show is in association with Boohoo Man, and their Black Friday sale is now on. They've got 99% off hundreds of lines, so there will be a link in the description. So if you want to check out Boohoo Man's Black Friday stuff, then click the link and go nuts. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, wearing Boohoo Man, joined by Chris Dolan in his new tracksuit as well. Dolan, you well?
Yeah, you missed a bit out from the intro, mate.
I did. I decided not to use the word. I've completely forgotten what the word was. But
so on the script, it said insane
deals. Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
Bardell refused to say the word insane. So
I do my own thing.
Whenever he said that, it was always going to get mentioned. So yeah. But
you've said it now.
I've said it.
You've said it now.
Yeah, I've said it.
Yeah,
I'm all good, mate. Just in from work, so quick change, and here we go.
Yeah, Villa off the back of 3 points in Steven Gerrard's first game, and then suddenly from losing every week, once you win one, you then suddenly think, we're going to get a bit of momentum going here. But it's going to be a tough trip to Selhurst Park. Palace are no mugs. I think they're unbeaten in 7, actually. I think they've drawn 5 of those games, but Patrick Vieira's done a really good job with them so far. I know you're friends with Steve Parish, but he's been an excellent appointment so far, hasn't he, Vieira?
He's been brilliant. I said to Steve, it could have been a little bit like when they employed De Boer, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work out at all. And you look at Vieira's sort of history in management, and it's not been phenomenal, but he's been solid, to say the least. He did a good job in France, but I just think players or figures, I should say, like Vieira, they just command so much respect. And I said before, I think the modern manager has to be a people person and has to understand the modern footballer. And yes, he's been retired maybe, I don't know, a decade, but still he understands the modern game. He understands the Premier League, and he knows these football clubs that he's playing against week in, week out, like the back of his hand. And you coming up on I said to Steve the other day, I wish the two managers could get their boots on, because
get them in the midfield.
You've got two of the greatest midfield players probably to ever play the game on the touchline on Saturday, and it's pretty incredible to have the likes of Steven Gerrard and Patrick Vieira come up against each other as managers.
It's quite sad, to be honest, because I remember Gerrard coming through the Liverpool Academy and making his debut. That's how old we're getting now. It's quite weird. I mean, it's weird seeing Steven Gerrard as Villa manager anyway, but it's weird seeing legendary footballers that you remember coming through the academy. I mean, imagine how people of my dad's age feel. They've probably seen fathers, sons, and sons again.
Yeah,
haven't they? It's
a bit surreal. It'll take a little while to get used to, but just on Palace, I mean, they've had a really, really good start of the season. Beating City, got some great results. But I think with them, they've just drawn far too many games. They don't lose games, but they don't win an awful lot of games as well. So, you look at they've had some really, really tough last minute goals against them.
They found some interesting way to lose games and draw games.
Yeah, Arsenal, Brighton, just to name a few. You look at the Burnley game on Saturday was a pretty. It was actually kind of unlike them, because they've been quite tight at the back, but it was a bit of a free for all on Saturday. So, listen, you've got us coming off the back of a massive 3 points, and obviously the new manager bounce, and then you've got Palace just sort of consistently in good form, and probably have one of the standout players in the division at the minute in Conor Gallagher. And I think there's no doubt he'll be playing for Chelsea next season. Absolutely no doubt. So he's been just like crucial to them. He's been so crucial to them, and I for one didn't see it coming. I didn't see him having as big an impact as he's had. He wasn't particularly good at West Brom last season, but then West Brom weren't particularly good as a team. But with Palace, he just seems to be really dragging them through. I
think his game was curtailed a little bit at West Brom. Obviously, they weren't playing the most free-flowing football in the world, and then Allardyce, who is good at what he does, but they're never going to be passing the ball around high tempo, high energy stuff. what Vieira's done at Palace actually really suits Conor Gallagher,
yeah.
and that's why he's standing out. But Vieira's done well, hasn't he? Because they've had to bed in pretty much a whole new side, which is difficult. We've seen that with Villa sides in the past. It's really hard to bed in a load of new players at the same time. But he's also completely changed the style of football, and although the results haven't always been there, they're very aesthetically pleasing now, and to change from Hodgson's style to that style so quickly, and although, as I say, the results haven't always been there, you can see what they're trying to do, and you can see the style of football, and it is very, very good, very, very energetic. That isn't easy to do.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, yes, they've changed. Yes, they've changed a lot of their players, but their front three is still the same.
Well, they've got incredible options. They've got people they can leave out.
They do. I mean, you look at it. You've got two ex-Villa players there. You got Ayew, Benteke, and Zaha started on Saturday, which was their mainstay. Which was their mainstay last year. But then obviously they've brought in the likes of Gallagher. They've brought in Edouard. Eze was on the bench on Saturday. He's come back. They
got Elise as well, who hasn't really started yet. He's a good player.
Really good player. I really like Anderson. I think he was brilliant at Fulham last season. He was the one kind of shining light at Fulham along with Lookman last season. I like the kid. Is it Mark Gay from Chelsea? Yeah. I think he's been excellent. Obviously, Gallagher's been for me one of the players of the season. And on their bench, the likes of Will Hughes, Klein was on there. Armid Butland as backup keeper. So
best number two in the league.
It's a solid squad. It's a solid squad. I mean, if I was them, I would have kept. I probably would have kept the likes of Cahill. But I mean, what do I know? So they've been very shrewd. They've kept players like Ward in the side. They've kept Martin Kelly, Tompkins. So they've kept some real experienced heads who know the club. And listen, I've got a lot of time for Palace. It's no secret that I'm pals with the owner, and we talk a lot. And I just think they're a proper football club, and anyone that's not seen the little sort of mini documentary about them on
good
on Amazon, I believe.
Yeah, Prime. Yeah,
it's just amazing. It's incredible, and I've done a few podcasts back in the day with a few Palace fans, and it's they're just proper football fans, and it's a proper football club, and the people, the staff are great, and the people that work there are great. And to be fair, the atmosphere at Selhurst, we've both been there together. It's
probably the best home fans in the league. I would go as far as to say.
It's something else. It's really hard place to go, and we don't have a great record against them at their place. I think the last time we won was when Benteke scored that worldie. Do you remember?
Is that the last one? I remember the goal. I remember the game. Yeah,
that was because it was around this time. I remember being at a Christmas party, and I remember keeping an eye on the score, and
great goal,
a great goal from Benteke. But then I was at the 2-1 when I saw Adama's debut, Adama Traore's debut for us. He came off the bench. We give that away in the last minute. We lost 2-1. We were at the last game.
The Lansbury Gate,
in front of the fans when we got robbed. Of a last minute equaliser. I actually had the chance to go to the game last year. Luckily, I had a pass to go to the game last year, but I had to work. I thought we threw that away as well. So don't really have our home record against them stacks up. I think
that's if you look at the stats, whoever's playing at home wins this game.
Yeah, and I think our home record stacks up. You look at the year we stayed up. That was the turning point for me. That Palace game and that offside. Well, that VAR goal that was chalked off from Saka or from Sacco, sorry, and we went on and won that. And then for me, probably the performance of the season. Well, one of the performances of the season was the Boxing Day. Was the Boxing Day win? We should have won that 5 or 6. And our home form has been
10 men.
Yeah, exactly. Our home form has been excellent against them, but it's just that away record against them, and it's. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to bring back any memories for Gerrard as well, because that was the game on the Rodgers where they blew it. That was the game where Suarez.
They're 3-0 up, weren't they?
Suarez. Remember Gerrard hugged Suarez and put his hand up to the camera and was like, back off. And I think that's probably the last time Gerrard was at Selhurst Park. So I don't know if it's going to bring up any old sort of memories for him. But listen. we'll see. You know, we're definitely going in. They're going to be fearing us for sure. They're going to be fearing us for sure. There's you know, they're going to have to be careful. I think we're going to be really on our game, and if we can be tough to beat like we were last week, then with our options up top, then you know, we can certainly make a go of it.
Yeah, we'll come back on to Palace and focus on a couple of their players, but let's look at more at Villa. We are a Villa show. We'll look more at Villa now. It's always nice to talk a little bit about the opposition and see what's going on. Like you say, last week it was all about the platform, really. Defending well and keeping that clean sheet gave us the platform to go on and win the game on Saturday. He's going to do the same kind of thing again. You'd imagine there probably won't be any change. You'd imagine it will probably be the same 11 for Steven Gerrard's Villa. And you know, he's doing the right things, isn't he? Because we were leaking way too many goals. He had to solve that leaky defence. I know it's only one game, but like I say, we were compact. We didn't try and do anything fancy. We made sure we got that clean sheet first and foremost, and then that gives you the chance to go and score the goals late. I imagine it will be a similar mindset on Saturday against Palace, Dolan.
Yeah, I mean, you were at the game, I wasn't there, but I think we almost had to set up as the away team on Saturday. We had to set up, like as you said, to be really hard to beat.
I mean, Brighton just killed the game. I thought slow, keep the ball, not really too adventurous. Weren't really trying to go anywhere. They had a couple of chances in the first half, but you know, I thought we kept them about. I thought we kind of let them have the ball. Yeah, I don't know whether we might do the same against Crystal Palace because they're liking having the football. Yeah. At the moment, I did a podcast with for the Athletic on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember when I did it, with the Crystal Palace writer. Apparently MacArthur's been really good for them this season, and he's out.
Okay.
At the week, because apparently he's going to be a big miss in the middle of the park for them because he's kind of the one that he keeps it simple, but he's been allowing Gallagher to do his thing.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have to pull him out.
Did he play Saturday? Did he play Saturday against Burnley, MacArthur?
I don't know whether he did or not, but he's definitely not playing on Saturday, I was told. So he's going to be a big miss for them. But Palace have generally been a little bit more possession based under Vieira, so we might go in with a similar kind of game plan in Gerrard's first away game.
Yeah, I think you know, Gerrard said in his press conference it's all about the next game. I think the way he spoke in the press conference, it was like we've got 6 weeks until January, so I think he wants to keep it tight and try and get as many points on the board as possible, and then he's going to bring in players. There's no doubt about that.
He'll be backed.
Yeah, he will be backed. He has to be backed. I mean, that's what you do when you bring in a manager of that level. Well, I would say level of that certain name, who's going to want to make a name for himself at that level. So, yeah, I think he'll keep it quite simple until we get to the new year. I think he has to work with what he's got. But and what pleased me the most on Saturday was, you know, I've banged on this show and these podcasts and previews over the last sort of few months about our lack of fitness and how unfit we looked and how we tire in games and how we give away sloppy goals and to see us come alive in the last 5 or 6 minutes really pleased me. You know, I know we did it against Everton, but it just really pleased me to see, I suppose, really, you know, Nakamba's calmness on the ball to start the move off, and Young doing what we all remember Ashley Young doing maybe 10 years ago, and just picking the ball up and driving us forward. And I think the way we broke as a three with the run from El Ghazi, which drew 2 of their players away, and then even Bailey was standing in acres of space. He could have passed to Bailey, and Bailey could have slotted home. You know, he was in acres of space. I was
screaming in the whole end to pass. And so, it was very stupid when he scored.
You know, he was in acres of space. So, but I think that goal from Watkins will do him good. I think he obviously doesn't want to have that second season syndrome, and it's like he said, it was his first goal in front of a sold out hold end, which again, you know, you sort of forget that he's been with us now for 50 games, and it's his first goal in front of the hold end with you know, with fans. So definitely give him a massive boost. But I think for me, I don't know, my big worry is Danny Ings. You know, I don't know what's happening with him. He just doesn't seem to have settled, and can't seem to get him. You know, can't seem to just get him in the team and find the right sort of place for him. And it just hasn't clicked for him, has it, so far?
I don't think it's down to him. I think it's down to Villa not having had a settled system all season. Well, I suppose we did play him and Watkins up front for a considerable amount of time, and it didn't really work. But I could see at the start of the Brighton game, he was a bit more involved in the link-up. We were playing in a bit more of a way that I would say would suit him that first 15, 20 minutes. We came out the blocks quite quickly. Lots of short, sharp, incisive passing, 1-2s, quick football. That's where Danny Ings comes alive, and that faded
Yeah.
after the first 20 minutes, don't get me wrong. But I think if Gerrard can play the way he wants to, the type of football he wants to pass, move, high tempo, that'll actually suit Danny Ings. I'm not convinced he's a lone forward, so I think the two that play around him, they're going to have to get close to him, because otherwise it will not work. But that will be what Gerrard tries and does. I think it's interesting how he's going to fit everyone in, because Buendia is going to play in that front three. I think Watkins has got the space on the left nailed. That'll be him. It's going to be Bailey and Buendia interchanging between those two on a game by game basis. To be fair, Watkins and Ings might both spend some time on the bench, but then you've still got Traore, El Ghazi. It's going to be interesting to see what he does, but we've got to get something out of Danny Ings. The thing I would say is, if you give him a chance, he'll score. It's not like he's missed loads of chances in his time at Villa. He scored 3 goals, I think it is. And he's probably only had about 6 or 7 shots.
He has not that many clear-cut chances, you could say, really. But I mean, obviously, from what I've been told, obviously seeing the highlights, you were there, but Matt Targett, by all accounts, was very, very good on Saturday.
In the match.
Yeah. And, I spoke to our friend Kieran and yourself, and they both, you both picked out Matt Targett as man of the match, and he's had a torrid season so far. So to have him raise his game, because I think he knows. I think he knows that. I think he knows that maybe his days are numbered with Gerrard, and I think maybe Gerrard's going to want to look for a more kind of industrious sort of left back, to fill in. But yeah, it's
I mean, he dealt with a tricky customer in that last game, Tariq Lamptey. He's not an easy player to deal with at all, and Target had him in his pocket, to be honest. He's always going to look dangerous, Lamptey, because he's so quick.
Yeah.
But Target's not renowned for his pace at all. No. But let me tell you, he was comfortable against him.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's obviously really pleasing, because I think as you say, Lamptey's one of the trickiest, even one of the quickest and paciest players in the division.
He's so fast.
But yeah, it was just it's just great to see. It's just great to see the energy back at Villa Park, because it had to change. It had to change, and it's tough seeing Dean Smith at Norwich. It was tough seeing the post-match interview and listening to Dean Smith as Norwich manager. But in an ideal world, if we can finish top half and Norwich can stay in the Premier League, then it'll be a pretty good season for both clubs. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about Steven Gerrard as a motivator. I mean, I've watched the last 2 training videos, and he hasn't really been involved in many of the sessions. But I don't think that's his style. I think he probably gets involved where he needs to, but I think he really trusts his coach in McAllister and Vale, and we obviously got Danks and Austin McPhee there as well. So I think his job is just to motivate them all from a 1-to-1 basis, and I think that's what he'll do. And you talk about Vieira and getting the best out of Conor Gallagher. If Gerrard can bring his influence and get the best back out of him again, and bring on Ramsey's game to a new level, then we'll be absolutely fine, mate.
Yeah, the word from the club so far, the people I've spoken to, is intense.
Yeah.
Gerrard's brought an intensity to things, high standards, not messing around. He had impeccable standards as a player. So as a manager, he's going to expect people to reach those standards that he sets. And players will want to.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Let's face it, the players will all remember Steven Gerrard, the footballer.
Yeah.
They'll remember what he did for Liverpool. Most of them would have grown up watching him.
Yeah.
That's quite inspiring.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But listen,
so the players are going to want to do well.
Doesn't always work that way. You look at people like Roy Keane, not had a great time in
different types of character, aren't they? Different.
Yeah, they are. But even someone like Thierry Henry, like, again, complete icons. But as you say,
true. As
you say, there's something about Gerrard, and I mentioned it before. If I had to have Lampard or Gerrard out of that duo, if you're basing it on trophies, of course, Lampard trumps it with all of his Premier League titles, and he's won more Champions League and more domestic cups. But there's something about Gerrard, man. There's something about him. I've always loved him as a player. I've always watched him. I've always, even being a Celtic fan, like, I sort of want them to do well at Rangers. I think Celtic needed Steven Gerrard to come in and raise the bar, because it was just getting far too comfortable for them. And there's something about him, and any manager that goes an entire season at any level unbeaten, doesn't matter what level you're at, any club to go unbeaten in a season is quite an achievement. And you got Vieira to go, and Vieira was part of the Invincibles, and Gerrard obviously went the whole season with Rangers unbeaten. So certainly, certainly two absolute phenomenons pitting their wits against each other on Saturday. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be cagey. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be tight. I'm going for a 1-1.
I've gone 1-1 in my Who Scored podcast as well.
Yeah, and I'd take a 1-1. Listen, just get me any points at the minute away from home. I'd take a 1-1. Get the Christmas. Just be somewhere around that top 12. Because for me, we're still kind of flirting with it, with the bottom four, the bottom five. Well, yeah, the bottom four, because Norwich won, Burnley got a point, Newcastle got a point. So Watford obviously got all three against United. So there's we had the win on Saturday. If we hadn't won on Saturday, it wouldn't have looked pretty.
We wouldn't have looked good that late table, would it? If we hadn't won,
it wouldn't look good. So it was a massive win, and I think for me it was. I'd have taken a 0-0 going into the 75th minute. I'd be like, do you want just get out of here, 0-0, just stop the rot, keep a clean sheet, and kick on. But obviously to win it the way we did was unbelievable. And even Mings, I think Mings deserved him a massive amount of credit.
He had a good game as well, Mings. He did his defensive work. He won every header, anything that came into the box, Tyrone Mings repelled.
Yeah, and I think what
deserved his goal.
Summed him up was before the goal was tracking the ball, tracking the ball down and keeping the ball in play. And it's interesting, even when we went 1-0 up and it was sort of coming towards the end of the game, we didn't sit back and try and kill the game off. We looked for that second. We could have easily.
Well, you could say on that Gerrard cam that we were talking about earlier, the Gerrard cam on the Villa TV, scored the first goal. Obviously, it's Gerrard cam, so that's all you're watching. He's saying you 1-0, pass, keep the ball, move forward. The best way to defend is to have the ball.
Yeah, was it pass, or press?
Oh, I took Kia's pass.
Yeah, well, either way, pass or press. When you pass, you press, as he also once said.
It's got to be. It has to be pass because we kept the ball and we scored.
Yeah,
you can't only press if you haven't got the ball.
Yeah,
but I'm saying it was pass.
Yeah. I mean, even that. I love the fact you called over Nakamba and giving him instructions and Bailey.
He's always giving instructions every chance he gets. I spent a lot of the game actually watching him myself. Yeah.
And that's listen, I'm not nothing against Dean Smith.
No, we all love Dean Smith.
We all love Dino, but clearly very contrasting in terms of their style on the bench. And even at the end when he just told everyone to go up to the whole ends, just creating that bond. And people laugh at like Jurgen Klopp whenever Liverpool drew against West Brom 2-2, and they did they all joined hands. But for me, that was the start of it, man. For me, that was him. He wasn't celebrating 2-2 against West Brom. He was trying to get the fans on side. He was trying to create that bond between the fans and the club, and it was pretty toxic at Liverpool at that point. And that was him. That was him creating that bond with the cop and with the squad and with the management. And that's what you need. That's what you need. And you've got the whole thing, so I can just use them at every chance you can, because putting some ex-players, and as I've all said, the whole thing can be the best place to play in the world in front of, or it can be the worst, the most toxic place to play in front of. You've sat in it when it's been toxic. Could you imagine playing in it?
Yeah, I can say it's been the best and the worst sitting in it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you might as well get them on side, and it's crucial in it. So yeah, for me, Saturday was 10 out of 10, and as he said, couldn't really dreamt of a better start.
A Dole and 10, that's like getting a 10 in Strictly Come Dancing from Craig Revel Hall. That is, he doesn't give out the 10s easily. You're definitely not like Bruno, who gives the 10s for everything. Too much Strictly Come Dancing knowledge from me. I don't even watch it. It shows how much my mum and wife have watched it over the years. I said about no changes, but I've just realised Douglas Luiz is back.
Yep.
He's someone that I think we need. He won't play. I think he'll be on the bench.
Yep.
He'll keep the same team. But Douglas Luiz in that defensive midfield, he's just a bit more on the ball than Nakamba. Nakamba was okay. But Douglas Luiz he just gives that better range of
Yeah, I
passing, I
agree.
think.
I think we've missed Luis. I think he's been missed. I think everything good starts with Douglas Luiz. Nakamba's Nakamba does a job, but for me, yeah, so obviously is he fit enough? But if he's fit enough, you start Luiz. You have to start your best players, and you have to start Luiz. You have to start Ramsey, and you have to start McGinn. Is that midfield trio? And but there's options. Yeah, I know that he's massively leveraging on Ashley Young. You can see
He's talked about Sanson, hasn't he, as well today?
Oh, has he? Did he do a press conference today?
I saw a quote today. I don't know. I'm presuming it was a real quote, but it's just saying it's good to have Sanson in the squad. He's looking forward to working with him. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Probably the right thing to do, come in and talk him up. A bit like what Eddie Howe's done with Joel Linton, actually. Someone who's not been great. Yeah. He talked him up straight away, and he had his best game in a Newcastle shirt in his first game. Yeah. Quite a sensible thing to do. I think it might really help Sanson.
It's all about man management. It's all about man management. And when it comes to midfield and midfield players and selecting the right midfield 3 or midfield 4, complete trust in Steven Gerrard to pick the right midfielders. If there's anyone that knows how to play midfield, it's him. For me, personally, one of the best midfielders of all time. So, complete trust in what 3 or what 4 he picks. But I imagine it'll be a 3.
Yeah. Back to Palace then. Just a quick word on our former striker Christian Benteke. I got his boots. There his sign boots. Absolute waders. If ever it rains, I can get in there and sail to where I want to go. Back on form, like the Benteke at Villa, he's lost his way an awful lot. He had one good first season at Crystal Palace where he was brilliant. I think it was under Allardyce, and then he really, really fell away. But I always thought they're just not playing in a way that suits him. They're not putting crosses in the box. I don't think they're actually putting crosses in the box much this season either. But he's just got something about him again. He's got that number 20 on his back again, and he's found some form. He's just, the Benteke we remember, scoring goals and looking a handful.
I mean, he isn't that good. He isn't as good as he was for us. He isn't on that level.
I've watched him a few times this season. He's a handful again.
He isn't on that level, mate. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Look, from where he was at Palace, say 2-3 years ago to where he is now, he's certainly refound his form without a doubt. And keeping Edward out of the team. Obviously, Edward was bought to replace Benteke essentially, but he's keeping him out. Yeah, listen, we all love Benteke, and he kept us in the Premier League single-handedly. Kept us in the Premier League. He was probably the last great player. Obviously, you look at Benteke and then Grealish, the two last real great footballers that we've had at the football club, who have sort of single-handedly kept us in games and kept us in leagues, and he's on his day for us. He was out of this world, and he's.
What's this?
Okay.
Tenga.
He threw that stat up out of the blue.
Oh, he did. Bit of fantasy football chat.
Interesting. He scored against us last season, didn't he?
He did first. I think that's the first time he scored against us as well.
Yeah, listen, he's a handful, and you got people like Zaha, and even Ayu's tricky. Ayu's a handful as well.
Oh, I don't reckon Ayu will play. I think Edouard will come in on the other flank, because Zaha will move to the right.
Yeah, so they've got options, but then we have options. We have options, and if you look at our front 3 versus their front 3, their front 3's probably got more experience in the Premier League, but our front 3 on paper should be a match for most. So. It'll be close. It'll be a close game. I'm going to say this. I wouldn't have expected Burnley Palace to finish 3-0, but I'm not expecting many goals just from the way I think we'll set up.
They're quite leaky at the moment, from what the Athletics Crystal Palace writer was saying.
What else did he say?
They're going to ship goals. Got a fly in there, little fly.
Any other? Because I know their keeper. I know Guita's made a couple of stinkers this season. He's had a couple of howlers.
He's made a lot of saves as well, though, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Brighton goal in the last minute. He gave the ball away, but they're a good side. Palace got a lot of time for them, and unfortunately, our record there is not very good. So I'd take a draw and move on.
Yeah, especially when you chuck in the fact I think I'm going my away record. Oh, terrible.
Well,
it's almost curtains if I'm going to an away game.
Yeah, I could have gone, but. The only weekend I've had off with the wife in about 5 weeks, so she didn't fancy
good husband points
coming down to the Selhurst Park director.
What's wrong with her? She's been before, hasn't she? She went the one year.
It's nice.
Did she go the one
nice
year?
to be fair. Like, yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be fair. But she doesn't have,
Loves football, your wife.
she,
Absolutely loves
she
football.
doesn't have it at me at all. So I'll be doing something else. But yeah,
Well,
it is what it is.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah, but I'm just glad we're not going together, because our record together away is
Even worse.
abysmal.
It's a no-go. Me going full stop is a no-go to an away game.
Yeah,
But yeah, us together, you might as well not even pat your bag.
Go to
Absolutely
Watford
no
and be
point
3-0 down, or be 3-0 down after 60 minutes. You know,
horrible memories.
Shocker.
Then Watford, they're going to spank Man U as well.
Yeah,
you know, 3-2 doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
After the 4-1 against Manchester United, Tom Cleverley rolling back the years against his old club. I think that does us for the match preview in association with Boohoo Man. Don't forget all those excellent Black Friday offers. The link is in the description, so make sure you go and check Boohoo Man out. We'll be back with a post-match pint Sunday, Monday. We'll let you know on social media when it is. It will not be Saturday night after the game, I would not think. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Look out for it on our social media channels, and we will let you know. Thanks to Dolan for joining me. Thanks to Adam for producing, and thanks ever so much for watching. Have a great night up the Villa.